up, future millennials? Welcome back to another Millennial in Debt video. If you are new here, hit that subscription button below and turn on the notification bell so you get every single time I upload a video. So I've gotten a couple of questions on Instagram, which if you are not following, you want to make sure you head to the app or hit the link below and hit the follow button. Also follow on TikTok because I hear it's a good time over there. But the question that I've been getting, or the questions I've been getting, is how did I make the switch from being an English teacher for the last 11 years into tech, specifically financial tech, and into marketing for a financial tech company. So I'm just going to talk about, the things that I did, how I prepared my resume, how the application process, the interview process, all of that, because it is a very different world than where I came from. But I got it done. So I want to share those tips with you here in case you are thinking about making a transition from education to tech, or just making a transition in different industries, or from different industries in general, because the tips can be, used for anything. And I want to shout out, right at the front of this video, Wander Onwards. Yes, I didn't want to. What? Wander Onwards on Instagram, which I will link below. She is fantastic. She has a ton of resources that really helped me to make the transition. She didn't even know until after I got the job that she was very much a part of that process. So if you are looking to, change industries and you want a little bit more guidance, a little bit more help, her free and paid resources are phenomenal, and I 10 out of 10, 100% recommend. So thanks, boo. All right, so let's shift into, how I got this done. So like I said, I've been an English teacher for the last 11 years, and I am now the brand. I have to think about my title. It's so long. I am the brand manager of marketing for a financial tech company. No, I will not be telling you the company because no. But the interview process was so different from anything I've ever experienced. The application process was really different from anything I've ever experienced because I haven't really had to apply for a job since I was 22 years old, and I'm now 33 years old, and the market and everything has very much changed. LinkedIn is a huge thing. It is like, what is that? So I'm just going to start off with the process. So I started looking for a job in July of 2021. Well, like June-ish, but really got into it into July. And so I was looking into content creation, social media management, marketing, what else? Program management. And the reason I was looking for those jobs specifically, and that's with any industry you're really going into, those jobs kind of allow you to not have the specific requirements of more detailed jobs. So for example, I knew I wanted to go into tech, but I knew I had no sort of software engineering or any type of engineering experience or know-how. I didn't go to school for engineering, but I wanted to be in tech. I wanted to be into technology. So if you are thinking about switching industries, you want to look into positions that allow you to kind of sneak in through the back door without having the specifics that are well known for that particular industry. So obviously in tech, coders, developers, and programmers, engineers, those are like the big wigs in this particular industry. And I knew I didn't stand a chance with any of those positions because I didn't meet any of the minimum requirements. So that was how I really decided what positions I would be looking into and applying into, because I knew I had skills that were very transferable, but just not in certain particular specifics. So that was something that Wander Onward specifically mentioned, that if you are applying for things in a different industry, you want to see what transferable skills you have that you can really amplify on your resume or your cover letter, because minimum requirements sometimes really will shut the door on a lot of opportunities that you might have. For example, I applied for a position at Facebook, and they were so gracious because they did send me a recruiter to kind of help me navigate switching industries. And the recruiter was very clear on, really big companies like a Facebook, like a Google, when you're applying for, management positions for specific things that are really, really, really specific, you're going to be going against a lot of competition that has, on paper, the minimum requirement. So they have the degree or they have the specific experience that Facebook or Google might be looking for. So that's something to, if you're sending out resumes and applications and not getting a call back, that could be one of the, main reasons. The second thing I did was I completely revamped my resume. And so my initial resume was very education centered, obviously because I was an educator for my entire adult life. And, 5 minutes ago, I was an educator. So I completely overhauled my resume and really started to highlight the things that I did with the Millennial in Debt brand, as well as the Trials and Trusses brand, which I grew both of them to pretty big, platforms, one in the beauty industry, one in the personal finance industry. And so I needed to highlight the things that I learned and the skills that I had to do both of those things on my resume. And because I didn't really know how to initially do that, because like I said, this was very, new territory for me, I looked up examples of resumes and cover letters of people applying for jobs similar to the jobs that I was applying for. I also looked at the specific applications and what they were looking for, and really took, like the really key big words from their application and put them onto my resume and put them into my cover letter. Another thing that you really want to be very specific with when you're writing cover letters and resumes for an industry shift, you want to highlight the things that you are really, really, really good at, and then show and explain how that's going to fit with the what the company is looking for. And so with this marketing position, I know that they were looking to grow their social platforms. They were looking to grow their creative storytelling with their content. And those are two things that I really excel at. And so I spoke to that in my letter, and I, during the interview, would bring up specific things and products and programs that I created for the Millennial in Debt brand or for the Trials and Trusses brand that really set me apart from my competition. And so other people might have had, hands-on success with a more traditional route or path, but, I spoke about how I took Millennial in Debt from being just a web series to growing into a financial education platform that has a successful TikTok, that has a successful Instagram, a decent Twitter, a successful YouTube channel where it engages with, people like people. And that was something that they found really interesting, that my creative outlet really spoke to people, in the financial sector as humans, because y'all are humans, y'all are my besties, my future millionaires. So, that was something that I was able to transfer onto paper and in the interview process. Like I said, I've only had to interview for 2 jobs really in my adult life. I've interviewed for summer camp when I was a kid, but I've only ever interviewed twice prior to this position, for my first major school and my second major school. I've only taught in 3 schools. And so let me back up. The first actual school that I taught in, I was a student teacher, and my mentor teacher went out on maternity leave. And so they gave me the position because they knew, what I was about. So I didn't really have to interview for it. And so my first major school that I interviewed for was in 2011. And the second school that I just left, I interviewed in 2017. So to say that I was out of practice for interviews is an understatement. And so this interview process was extreme. It was 4 rounds. And I had to speak to, multiple people on the team that I'm currently working on, and speak to the bigwigs and the CMO. And first of all, they were wonderful. For me, never experiencing something so like, oh my God, this is intense. They were so kind and really walked me through each phase of the interview process. So that really let me know that the company is a company that I'd want to work for, because just how they treated me during the interview process was so refreshing and just so kind. And I know other companies are not, it's not a thing. It's not a majority of places doing that. So that's something definitely, if you do get called in for an interview, you want to make sure that the process is really healthy for you, and doesn't feel like they're talking down to you, because why would you want to work there? So that was a really big thing. And so I was able to really be myself during the interview process, which was nice, and really just present the Millennial in Debt platform as my baby and show the pride and the joy and the passion that I have for it, which I do, I love y'all. So that was really important. Another really important thing when you're transitioning industries, and how I transitioned into tech, you want to make sure that your resume is able to speak for you and that you can speak to your resume. So what that means is, I was freaking out because I don't have a marketing degree. I don't have formal marketing training, and I checked out marketing for dummies, because I really was just what if they ask me about terminology and words that I don't know? And I'm like, learning like KPI. I was like, key performance indicator, buried into your brain. I mean, now I know it, but that wasn't, like I didn't go to school for it. So I was freaking out, and my best friend reminded me, she's like, well, they've seen your resume, so they know that you're a teacher, and they know you built this brand for yourself, and they know these things, and the cover letter spoke for it. And so I was like, okay, took a deep breath, and I let that be the lead. So obviously if they called me back, they like what they saw on the resume. So you really need to, let your resume speak for you and what you can do. And if I didn't take the time out to create, completely overhaul and make marketing and content and product creation the forefront, and really push education a little further down on the sheet, I would definitely not have been able to make that transition. And so when I was called in for an interview, yes, they knew my resume and it spoke for themselves, but I wanted to speak for that as well. So you want to make sure that, if you say you've built 6 products, whatever, I spoke about each of those products specifically. I spoke about the challenges and how I overcame the challenges. And so make sure that every little bullet point and strong verb that you use and that you have on your resume, you have a secure, specific thing to back it up as an example, because people can tell when people are BSing. So you don't want them to be like, did she just copy and paste this resume from Google? Because I know people have done that as well. But those are really the things that I did that were really beneficial and helpful in getting positive callbacks and getting interviews, and ultimately going with the company that I chose to go with. But it was a lot of no's. It was a lot. July was really sad. I was just like, nobody wants me. But it was a lot of no's, and it was just adapting and remembering that industry shifts are always difficult, and it's always about finding the right fit and people really recognizing that you are capable of doing whatever, this new position may hold for you, even though you're not formally trained or classically trained in it. So that's really important. And so, yes, I got a lot of no's, but the yeses that I got that led me into the interviews, and I felt more comfortable in speaking to who I was as a content creator, as a marketing strategist, even though I never went to school for it. And then I got the yes that I wanted. I got the yes of my dreams. So please don't feel discouraged if you're not getting called in for interviews, or people are not really moving you forward into I didn't know interviews were now 4-round things. But if you're not getting to second or third rounds, people are it's competitive out there, but you are your own sauce. You have your own juice, and you're absolutely going to find that place for you that is going to see the beauty in your resume and see the beauty in your cover letter. But definitely hit up Wander Onwards if you're like, I need a second or third eye to help me guide, through this. And I hope this was helpful. I don't know. Bye.